We featured a segment last month centered around a Stanford research study on the millennial mindset with Vanessa Iarrocci, who was part of that study. She is here with us this evening again and joined by Raj Sandhu, who has a PhD in cognitive neuropsychology. So between them, we're going to find out exactly what that millennial mindset and money behavior is. Welcome, ladies, to What She Said. So, Vanessa, quickly, let's recap by going over some of the findings as they relate to millennials and human versus digital preferences, which is something we boomers don't really understand.
Sure. Well, this was one of the big aha moments in the study on millennials and money. And the research showed that millennials certainly have a preference for digital interactions. They're digital natives. And there was even a recent study that suggested most millennials would rather give up their sense of smell than their iPhone, which is really unbelievable, right? But when you think about millennials and their digital devices, I think that's a great metaphor. It's just like a fifth sense. So they want to use the digital tools, but it doesn't mean they want to eliminate human interaction altogether, especially where savings was concerned. Millennials told us that when they are looking for a financial advisor, when they want to talk to someone about their money, they want to talk to a human. They want to have an initial discussion face-to-face. They want to understand who that person is, what their credentials are, who else they've helped, and what their own experiences with people like them have been. So they don't want the Uber of money when it comes to saving.
But where do they want the digital? So they want to pay their bills digitally?
Exactly. So there is this divide between, for my transactional needs, a credit card, buying something, I'm fine with an all-digital solution. But where my savings, where my hard-earned savings is concerned, I want to talk to a human being.
So Raj, how does this connect to what's going on in the brain with your expertise?
Yeah, and so what Vanessa is describing here, where millennials are treating the savings account or savings differently from the rest of their money, it's not unique to millennials. It's something that we actually all do, and something that's called mental accounting. And the idea of mental accounting is based on where our funds are coming from, so the source of the funds, but also how we intend to use those funds. We treat money differently, so each dollar is not treated the same as the next. So, for example, we tend to look at our money in terms of being current income, current wealth, or future income. And we tend to most easily spend the money that is in our current income. So if we think about the source of money, right now it's tax season. And if you guys are anything like me, when you get that tax refund, I tend to splurge on it. I don't treat
refund. Yeah, that's not happening.
For those of you who do get a tax refund, maybe I'm revealing a bit much here. But my tax refund, I tend to splurge with it. I don't treat it as the rest of my hard-earned income, like my weekly or my monthly paycheck, which I have very specific, detailed plan for. You know, when we are artificially compartmentalizing our finances and then treating them differently, this can actually have negative impact on our financial health. So if we're talking about digital versus kind of paper, we know that people actually spend less, they spend more money when they're using a debit card compared to, let's say, a cash transaction.
Well, explain, I don't understand why, if we compartmentalize money as in terms of where it comes from, that it impacts our financial health. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So let's say if I have right now, some balance on my credit card and I have someone gives me a gift of some amount of dollars, I'm more likely to not treat that as a part of my overall financial plan to pay down that debt. I see that as a different source of money. It's an unexpected source of money, so I might just go and buy that pair of boots I was really interested in rather than paying down that credit card, which I would probably do if that money was coming from a more regular source of income.
So is there a difference in the mindset as well between wants and needs that you find?
Yeah, and exactly. So what we do is we prioritize different accounts differently,
Right.
and we're more or less willing to spend or kind of go over or under budget. So a want is food. So people are more likely to go over on a grocery budget. Sorry, a need is
I was going to
food.
say, I don't know about you, but
A need is food. So you might be more likely to kind of go over and be okay with going over on a grocery budget than you are on like a clothing budget or a vacation
Right.
budget.
So how are we different than millennials? Because I like to do money transactionally. I don't want to stand in a line at the bank and cash a check or pay a bill. I want to do it online. And if I'm talking about my future, a big plan, then I want to talk to somebody and have a relationship with them. So how are we really that different?
And I think actually that's the exact point, Christine, that we think millennials are so different when in fact we exhibit a lot of the same behaviors, but in a nuanced, different way. So if you think of your own experience, getting used to using a bank machine, you were fine using that bank machine instead of perhaps going to the teller every day. That's not that different than millennials today using the digital phone app to do their transactional banking. But as you pointed out, and as Raj described, where investing and savings is concerned, there is still that desire for human interaction, irrespective of the generation. And I think that's something really important to keep in mind.
I mean, generationally, my mother refuses to bank online because she doesn't trust it.
Very common.
Yeah. I bank online. I also have my Visa, everything on my phone. And I also use the photograph to deposit checks, which is very cool.
Awesome.
I love that. I take a photograph of a check and deposit it into the bank.
awesome.
That's neat.
Yeah.
But all of this is not new to my children, who are millennials,
Right.
born in the early 90s. They'll do everything like that. Going into a bank and actually talking to someone is foreign. That's what's foreign to them.
Right. So they're digital natives,
Yeah.
as the expression goes. My son is 9, and he's been used to having an iPad, so he thinks all screens are touch screen. I think it's really interesting. We have fingerprints on all our screens in our house because we will try to manipulate them.
I was going to ask, because I've noticed a lot of people of my generation are very uncomfortable with money. They don't even look at their statements. They don't take much time in finding a broker or somebody to invest their money with. It's not something they spend more time buying a pair of black shoes. Are millennials different in that way? Like, are
Yes.
they very centered on researching? Because I find they Google everything. They go to the lists that compare the 10 best of whatever they're looking for.
Well, absolutely. And one of the interesting things I noticed is as part of our study, we observed millennials interacting with financial advisors. And many came to the meeting with their advisor with a laptop or mobile. And as the advisor was talking, they would be validating what the advisor was saying, pushing back and asking questions. They would also be checking out his or her LinkedIn profile or Instagram account. So there was this in-the-moment validation happening about everything. So whereas I think generations prior might have viewed all advice as, almost sacred, like this is a qualified person giving me advice, I'm going to absolutely take it in without question. This generation is validating, pushing back for sure, using technology to do that.
And that's a good thing.
Sure, we should always. I think exploration and understanding the nature of the advice you're getting is terrific and healthy.
So any other big aha moments for you, Raj? No, that was it. Just the whole mental accounting thing is the difference there. I'm not sure how. I'm going to have to take mental note of how I do my mental accounting, because maybe I should be doing things differently.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
both
you.
for joining us. And we hope to hear more about millennials because they're fascinating, aren't they?
They sure are.
This is What She Said. Stay with us.